From being accused of taking steroids at a young age to using an illegal IV against Alexander Volkanovski, Islam Makhachev has heard it all, and Eugene Bareman is the latest to fuel those rumors. That's right, Israel Adesanya's head coach and Volk's assistant coach has come forward, supporting the allegations thrown at Islam by the featherweight king's teammate Dan Hooker. Well, kind of.
Yeah, nah, 50 G's will help, bro. I ain't complaining about that, bro. Nah, that's sweet.
You see, Bareman is being a little cautious with his words. He hasn't outright called Islam a cheater, but he definitely smells something fishy going on in the Daegestani camp. The 43-year-old revealed that they have reliable information, but only to a point, because he can't be sure if an IV was even used and if it was under the USADA guidelines or if Islam was the one to use it. And that's a lot of ifs and buts if you ask me. They can't be sure of any foul play, so Bareman is doing the right thing by being careful. He thinks someone else in Islam's camp might have used it. Eugene thinks that either Makhachev or Zubaria Tukhugov could have been the culprit. Tukhugov was competing in an undercard against Elvis Brenner, and as it happens, he missed weight by 1.5 pounds for his lightweight match.
All Tukhugov with the fakes, the feints, the head movement, and you know, the basic combinations. One punch at a time, but powerful a lot. And then
he went on to lose the bout by a close split decision. Volk's coach think that there was something going on in there. If the Dagestanis know that Zubaria was the one to use an IV, then they should distance the lightweight champ from him. Having said that, Bareman admitted that the important thing was the fight, and he agreed that it was an absolute war between the two champs.
With the information that I'm passing on.
Work the body from the inside, okay? Try to minimize coming out of here like this, okay?
He congratulated Islam and his coaches on the win, but at the same time, he was super proud of the great and his performance. I mean, this ugly aftermath is not something I was expecting. Islam and Alex both put on a great show. They showed a lot of respect toward each other before, during, and after the fight. But if I'm being honest, Volkanovski sounded a little salty in the following days. While talking to Ariel Helwani about the weight that he was competing at, Alex said that he was just under 170 pounds during the fight.
But you are right in terms of the energy expenditure, the risk reward for Makhachev.
it's usually a much higher pace from both these guys.
And he suspected that Makhachev was about 180 pounds. Then he quickly added, "You fill up pretty quick on the IVs and stuff like that." The Aussie also disputed Islam's claim and said that he's still the #1 pound for pound. He said that he can fight even at welterweight when talking about the rematch, adding that Islam can get as big as he wants with IVs, and he warned him to watch out next time. Maybe Volk is just bummed out by the loss. I mean, he talked very highly of Islam right after the match. So, did something change after that? Maybe guys like Dan Hooker got into the champ's head. He was the first one to cry out right after the fight, tweeting that Islam cheated and accusing him of hiring a nurse to administer an IV to him. Maybe he's still not over how Islam submitted him in the very first round back in 2021 at UFC 267. Islam's teammate Bilal Muhammad and his co-manager Rizvan Magomedov were quick to jump to the defense of the champ, calling the hangman a hater and accusing him of spreading baseless lies. The thing is, Hooker just said Islam cheated without backing it up with anything.
No one else is going to take the fight. I'm the only guy that's going to fight Islam Makhachev. You can point your fingers. Tony Ferguson going to take it. RDA's out injured. No one else has put that. I'm putting my hand up to fight him. But October 30, it doesn't work for me.
Instead, he told everyone else to prove him wrong. I'm not sure he even knows how these things are supposed to work. Even Bareman told him not to comment on it anymore. His own coach, who knows that the information has holes in it, and he even admitted as such. Maybe something was going on there, and maybe Dan Hooker was onto something. But without proof, he really just looks like a stupid hater. I really doubt anything solid is gonna come to light. Even Chael Sonnen thinks so. Following these accusations, Sonnen gave his take in a YouTube video. He just doesn't think that Islam has it in him to do something like that. Chael admitted that he's violated every jurisdiction of every administration, but he brought his own IV. He wouldn't go to a hospital, sign up paperwork, or get someone who could later expose him. And if Islam did something like that, he's smart enough to cover all his bases. Chael is confident that no nurse is gonna come forward. That was just some nutrider trying to get some attention. He also went on to add that Islam is too nice of a guy to make something out of the situation. If the bad guy was in his place, he would have had some fun with it.
And we take home the lightweight championship of the world.
Round 4 brought to you by Manscaped's Lawnmower 4.0, the official electric trimmer of UFC.
He would have taken up all the spotlight. He would have earned the biggest paychecks. But Islam is just not that guy. Instead, he chose to stay silent on the situation, as he did on the robbery claims. The fight was really close, guys. It could have gone either way. But I personally thought Islam did more than enough to secure the decision, even though he clearly thought he won fair and square. The only thing he did to declare it was to post a tweet that said that he won every minute of that fight except for the last one. That's all. He didn't say anything else. Now imagine if this was Conor McGregor or Chael Sonnen. We wouldn't stop talking about it for a long time, and I bet you all would have loved it, even if you hated them. They'd be on the headlines of every news story, which they would have doubled or tripled their value overnight. That's the thing about controversies. It keeps you relevant, and if you're relevant, then you're valuable to the UFC. I'm not saying Islam isn't, but he could be so much more. Like, he won the super fight of the decade probably, and he's still getting hated on for winning. So maybe Sonnen is right. He's getting no love from the community. So why not just embrace the hate? I mean, fighters like Bobby Green and Sean O'Malley accused him of taking steroids as a teenager, back in the very early days of his career, and the reason they said was that he's too strong. Come on, comments like this just remind me of Nate Diaz's "everybody's on steroids." So you can just pick up the mic and accuse anyone of anything, just like they can accuse anyone of robbing a decision. I mean, did you see the general reaction of the community after the fight? I honestly didn't care who won. The fight was just too good. But as soon as it was over, most of the community mentioned that Islam didn't deserve to win. The Volk wasn't having a good time on his feet, guys. Islam was hurting him pretty badly with some of his shots. And similarly, the Daghestani didn't look too comfortable on the ground, which was unlike him. Credits to Alex, of course. Joe Rogan, Brendan Schaub, Henry Cejudo, and I don't know who else all said the same thing. Volkanovski was robbed, but at least Cejudo had the decency to correct himself later. He did an in-depth analysis of the fight, apologized to the fans, and changed his stance by declaring that Islam actually did win it. The reaction from the local crowd played a huge factor in swaying the opinions of the community in general. And all the controversy that's following that absolute banger of a fight we witnessed is just disappointing. Seriously, if Islam did use an IV, don't you think something concrete would be out by now? I mean, there were thousands of cameras on him that night, and not a single one spotted an insertion point on his body.
Frustrated, or to let this thunderous crowd influence his movements, because one little mistake and he loses his fight. Look at that! Amazing!
I think it's time to move on to the next match for both Alex and Islam. And with that, that's all the latest on the controversy surrounding the Daghestani. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.